So, who wants to go to Brazil? In Brazil, there are, listen carefully, 736,000 restaurants. Who wants to go to Brazil? And 56% of them were opened during the last 3 years. But how do they really sound? Our next speaker has come all the way from Brazil. Please give a very, very warm welcome to Markus Holtz.
This is the front and so on.
Yes.
Hi guys, it's a great pleasure to be here. I really appreciate the invitation from Ecofam, from Hybrid. It's an honor to be here. I went to the EIAS 2023, and it was really funny. So the time I can control, maybe I could, you will help me with 2 minutes. Okay. So I am an architect. I have been working with acoustics in the last 22 years. And this is our company. We are Harmonia. We are based in São Paulo, in Brazil. And we work with acoustics, thermal, and luminous comfort. This is the last picture that you had with some umbrellas. So talking about restaurants, this is maybe the first ones. It was a little bit outdoors. But we used to eat together since a long time ago. So it's not just about food. It was I talking with Mybrit before. It's just about because as we are social beings, it's about to eat together. It's the experience, to share the place, and to share the food. So this is the experience that we do in the restaurant right now. So since thousands of years, we are doing the same thing. And a brief summary of my presentation, we will talk about the restaurant acoustic design itself. I will present 3 restaurants, 3 case studies of restaurants in Brazil. And we'll talk a little bit about conclusion and what we can think beyond that about the future of the restaurants. And this could be tricky with all this artificial intelligence that we see today and all this sci-fi fabulous stuff. So talking about restaurant acoustic design is something that is not so easy to do because we have so many variables. We need to take, the place, the owners, the customers, the food that you want to provide to people. Many things you need to think about it. And for the architect, it's something important to place. He needs to be concerned about something like maintenance, on how to install stuff. The schedule of the construction, the time that you have to build, something related with the finishes. So the architecture is hard to define too. So all of this need to be into account, but the noise is already known. That's really important, and it's one of the main issues to be dealt with. Here's a research that was done in 2018 in the United States, and the noise, look that, it was the first one. It was the champion of complaints. So with 24% of the complaints was about noise. I had service with 23% and crowds with 15%. So we are talking about something that really matters when we're talking about design restaurants. This is a typical restaurant in Brazil, if you got curious about that. But this is a place to eat there. And we talk about money too. Juan is here, Juan Negrera. He did a research about this. Because when you think about the restaurant, it's not just about eat, it's a business. You need to have profits. And a lot of research is recognizing that we reduce your profits if you increase the noise in the place. And conversation other studies indicate that is one of the most annoying things and the most annoying sound sources in restaurants. So when we need to deal with conversation in crowded places, we need to address two different aspects, 2 different effects that was already discussed here, the cocktail party effect and the lumbar effect. A lot of presenters talked about this. And I will just give a a little explanation about this. The cocktail party effect is ability that we have to understand when we have competing voices, a lot of people talking around you, but we are able to identify the sound that comes from that person. We have, as we talked a lot in the seminar, all the experience happened inside our head. So we have this ability to separate and split, and it's possible to see what's coming from that source. In the lumbar effect is the other effect that happened when you are in a place with a lot of people, and the sound ambient noise start to become loud. You start to talk louder, and that's something that starts to happen and happen and happen. And when you see you are in a really loud place, so it's possible to make some calculations about this. Hindel is not there, but Hindel, Ariana made a lot of stuff about this too. We can calculate what happened. We can calculate the quality of verbal communication, because we're talking about this. Around the fire, we need to talk about stories. We need to know what people are bringing to me as the information, or to create relationships with them. So we need the number of people, how they group, the sound absorption of the place, and then we take all of this together in a big pan, and we cooked. And then we can have the ambient sound. Here I call the ambient sound as noise. And then we can calculate too, including the lumbar effect, the sound level of a speaking person in this environment. Making a simple subtraction of these two ones, we have the signal to noise ratio. And we are able, is already known, that even with a -3 signal noise to ratio, it's possible to have a conversation. It's sufficient to have a good conversation. So, said that, I brought 3 different restaurants in Brazil to show you a little bit how it was the experience to design these restaurants. Brazil is the green in the map. We are in South America. We have 214 million people. Our GDP is $1.6 trillion. To comparison, Russia is $1.8 trillion, and Mexico is $1.4 billion. So it's something comparable to Russia and Mexico. And that orange dot is São Paulo, is one of the main gastronomic centers in South America. Is where we are living right now, and where Harmonia is. As my Brita Red said, we have all these 736 bars and restaurants in Brazil, and I don't know, the pandemic influenced a lot what happened the last year, so 56% of them opened in the last 3 years. We managed with 34 billion euros just in 2019, and we have 2 employees per restaurant in Brazil. In the United States, we have 15. So there's an enormous potential of growth of the market, and a great opportunity to build all these restaurants when you have a market more professionalized. And we have just one standard that talk about acoustics in restaurants, and just talk about background noise. There's no reference to about all the other acoustic features that we can have there. All the design that I will show followed this double diamond concept. Is a way that we use to design the restaurants. First of all, we have the discovery phase. In this phase, we open our mind to all the possibilities that can be applied in the design. All the features that could be able to introduce there. And then, after that, we close the diamond, find the best ones, the more suitable solutions to define the criteria. Could be the reverberation time, SNR, signal to noise ratio, everything. You can define the criteria to design and to create some guidelines. Here's the development phase. After that, this is where it's really hard, because here is when we need to open again and study all the solutions that we can have in the market, or can invent it to achieve that criteria. We need to find a solution that could be in compliance with the idea of the architect of that place. And then we need to choose again, to close the diamond, and to deliver, no? to make the drawings, to make the reports, and to give the definition of the solution in the end of the process. So the spot JK, all of the restaurants are in the same mall. This is what's curious because we did all of them in the same place. André Weiner is a really nice architect, a famous architect in Brazil. And this restaurant opened in 2013. And this is a picture of it. It was really hard to convince him that we could have some wall panels to improve acoustics. As you could see, there is a lot of people here. And this is one of the variables when you calculate the lumbar effect. So we talked to them, oh, this could be dangerous. There's a lot of people in this place. But in this case, they prefer to see what happens, you know, see what happens. If something happens, we can do something. So the first thing that we do, we just the acoustics in the light fixtures. It was quite interesting. The sound absorption was in the light fixture. It's a kind of membrane that can absorb sound. And then we have this light fixtures absorbing sound, it is gypsum plate. So it's really poor sound absorbing solution. And of course, as you can imagine, the result was really bad, and people start to complain. And then we introduced these clouds and become much better. In the third phase, everything happened during, I don't know, in the space of 4 years. And they got really happy when we finished the project with the wall panels. So this is the results with the 3 solutions. As you could see, the first one was, we have a really high reverberation time in more than 1 second in 200 hertz. Just the clouds that you put, we had this huge reduction in 2000 hertz. And then with the wall panels, we had a really nice solution of reverberation time close to almost plain, close to 0.5 seconds. In mid frequencies, we had got a reduction of 0.4 seconds. After that, the complaints stopped, so it was a good sign. The next one is Kitchen JK. This concept was completely the opposite, because they started well. This is the entrance of the restaurant. All these ropes came from the idea, I don't know the Japanese name, but these cords you can find in many temples in Japan. They are connected to purify the space, to purification. So they decided to use this cord. I think it's 16,000 meters of ropes in this restaurant. Even in look at that, a closer of the ropes. And here's the saloon of the restaurant. The hope is still there. And we decided to have more sound solutions here, sound absorbing ceilings here, but they are in black to not compete with the ropes and to make them shine. You know, there's something with architecture that's really interesting. For something really, to be noticeable, you need to disappear with the other stuff, to not put a lot of stuff competing to each other. So the ropes are the big star of this restaurant. And I went there to make some sound measurements. We got really good results. And the manager told me that they had never had complaints about noise in that place. So already born in the right way is what I was talking about my breath. Sometimes it's possible, sometimes it's harder, sometimes we need to and now you're talking in the conclusions about that, how we can avoid this try and error problem. After JK is the last one. This is is more or less happened exactly as happened in the first time. The architect avoid to have anything in the ceiling because he thought that could be, some industrial, visual, and etc. And he refused to put some sound absorption in the ceiling. So he was just allowed to put some sound absorbers in the walls. As you could imagine, this is not enough to have good acoustics. And the complaints start to happen. And then we were in Madrid, and I met you guys there, and Staffan Nilsson. We were invited to go to El Tenedor, a restaurant there that were co-founded with Juan Negrera, did a really nice job about room acoustics in a restaurant, and talking together, we decided to do something similar in Brazil. And that is the solution. As you can see, we had a great improvement in reverberation time, a reduction of 0.56. Sound strength would be better too, 3 dB. C50, clarity, we had a great improvement, 3.4. And sound level reduced in 6 dB. Great results with the clouds. And we wasn't able to apply the questionnaire because it was in the middle of the pandemic. It was really sad because we prepared extensive questionnaire to evaluate acoustics. But we had the internal survey of the restaurants. They have more than 100 evaluations a month, so it's a representative number of internal research. And we had an improvement of 14%. 88% of people approve the ambience of the place. So the subjective impression improved. Talking about the conclusions. Noise in restaurants is a major issue. It's already known. All the research shown that the noise is one of the main sound sources in restaurant. And if you cannot talk in the place, maybe all the experience could be messed. Actors need to hear, and I will talk a little bit how we can make them hear with us. Maybe something that happened, something I talked in the last presentation about how to convince people. I think the best way to convince someone about something and to make them experience the thing. And now we have many tools to do it. Insufficient criteria in Brazil, we are working on it. And the Astor JK had a great improvement in acoustics and the reviews. And beyond talking about the future, we need to make this Brazilian standard. We are working on it. Subjective response studies are really desirable to see. I'm pretty sure that in Brazil, we will have slightly different results from Europe, especially by cultural aspects. The way that we behave in restaurants, you will see when you get there, is completely different than the behavior in Europe. And listen is good because after all this mess with the restaurants, we decided to build a listening room. And Ecophone has a really nice website with a lot of sounds that you can experience reverberation. And we have some studies about acoustics, more studies relating the profits and acoustics. Just to finish my bit, the last slide, BIM and AI, artificial intelligence and build information modeling. We can use some new tools to design this. This is a BIM model that we can put the reverberation time, but could be C50, it could be G, it could be whatever you want. You just put the formula, and you can turn off the slider. You can go to the right, to the left, and they will randomly change in the high, but you can change it, some rotation in the axis too, just putting what you want by acoustics. And this is the place that I showed you before. And you can rotate it randomly, the clouds and the axis at the same time. So the last presentation of the day, I'm really grateful for all of you, and I propose a virtual toast. Cheers.